Welcome to the Wardrobe Within. I'm Jess Aberly, founder of the Wardrobe Within system, a system designed to help you feel more like you. This is part 3 of the Inner Work series, and if you have not already watched the introduction to the system, if you have not watched part 1 and part 2 of the Inner Work, I would encourage you to go watch those first so that you can join part 3 of the Inner Work refreshed and ready to go and ready to join in with this part of the work. In part 3, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be mood journaling. What this means is we're going to take a look at our day-to-day outfits and really identify the way that they make us feel and how we feel connected or disconnected from different colors, fabrics, silhouettes, accessories, etc. So in part 1 and part 2, for a quick recap, we discovered our aspects, our inner child, our sovereign self, our shadow self. We gave a name to them. And then in part 2, we coordinated those with an elemental orientation, which helped give us a focused lens for tactile expressions. Now here in part 3, as we're mood journaling, we're going to take this in 2 parts. It's a 2-week process where the first week, you're going to get dressed the way that you've always gotten dressed. There's whatever ritual that you use on a day-to-day basis to get yourself clothed in the morning, you're going to continue to follow that. Where it's going to change is at the end of the day, before you take off that outfit that you're wearing, you're going to do a deep dive and a self-analysis into how that outfit is making you feel, what your mood has been for the day, and what aspect was most present throughout the day. Then on week 2, we're going to move into something a little bit different. We're going to incorporate a new dressing ritual for you to touch base with where you're at and where your body's at before you get dressed and try to make choices based on that. And then again, at the end of the day, evaluate the way that those outfits made us feel. So for week 1, you're going to get dressed like you always do in the morning. You're going to go throughout your day. But as you're going throughout your day, I want you to try to listen to your body and pay attention to what you're feeling in the clothing that you have on. Every time you look in a mirror throughout the day, I want you to touch base with what you're feeling and how your body and your mind is reacting to the things that are on you, to the colors, the fabrics, the fit, etc. Pay attention if there's any pulling or rearranging that you do with your outfit and how that makes you feel. At the end of the day, before you take that outfit off, I want you to stand in front of a mirror and look at yourself and really evaluate which aspect felt most present that day. Was my inner child there? My shadow self there? My sovereign self? What was my overall mood for the day? Now, moods can change throughout the day. I'm well aware of that, and I oftentimes will have mood changes throughout the day. But overall, what was the dominant mood for the day? After that, you're going to take your outfit step by step and look at each piece and evaluate how it made you feel. And did you feel connected to that piece with the aspect that was present? I want you to look at a variety of things for this as well. I want you to look at the color of your outfit overall and how you connected with that and how that made you feel. I want you to look at the fabric, the material choices. I want you to look at the prints and the patterns that you chose. I want you to look at the overall silhouette and fit. And I want you to look at your accessories. And I want you to break each of those things down and evaluate. Did I feel resonant with that for the day? Did I feel regulated in it? So when I say that, what that means is, did you feel connected to what you were wearing in the mood that you were in? When you looked at yourself throughout the day, did you feel connected to the colors that you were wearing? Did you feel like you were being represented well by the things that you had on? On the regulation side of things, I want you to think about what your body felt during the day. Did the colors that you were wearing help you feel regulated and soothed and content? Or did they maybe feel a little jarring to you? Those can be a good indicator too, if you are really resonant with your clothing. Your fit is also a big part of that as well. There may be some days where you're more comfortable in something that's bodycon or something that's structured. There may be days where you need something with a little more breathing room that's billowy. These are the things that you're going to look at and Evaluate. Did you feel connected with it? Did it help you feel supported? I also want you to look at the material itself and what you chose to put on your body. Was it something soft like an angora or a cashmere? Was it something a little more structured and crisp like a very structured cotton poplin? Was it something really flowy and breathable like a silk? What were those materials and what did your body feel in them? Were you pulling at your outfit throughout the day? Was there any point in time in which you just felt uncomfortable in what you were wearing? I want you to take notes on all of these things and really evaluate how those specific pieces of clothing and accessories made you feel in the mood that you were in. As you do this day over day, you may start to see trends in what helps you feel resonant and regulated in different moods. And that's the goal here, is to identify those trends so you can identify the materials, the colors, the silhouettes, the accessories that make you feel supported most often in different moods. Let me give you an example of this. For me personally, on a day where my shadow self is most present, if I were to wear a bright fire engine red bodycon dress, every time that I look in a mirror on that day where my shadow self is present and maybe I'm feeling anxious and reserved, I would feel jarred by what I was seeing in the mirror. It would make me feel uncomfortable throughout the day. I would pull at my outfit a lot. The colors would not make me feel soothed. I would feel disconnected with my outfit. And that's what we're trying to avoid. In doing this, we're trying to identify the colors and the patterns and the fabrics that make you feel most connected to different moods so that you can always be in support of those different moods to help you stay regulated in your clothing. Now, regulation is much bigger than just clothing. There's a million different things that can go into your sensory system, your nervous system, that can lead to overstimulation. But if we can help you feel regulated in your clothes, that's taking one less sensory input out of your day that can lead to further dysregulation. And that's the goal with that. Now, leading into week 2 of mood journaling, we're gonna do things a little different. We're gonna start the day with a ritual to get dressed, where you're going to touch base with yourself and try to identify at the beginning of the day how you're feeling, the overall mood that you're in, and what aspect you think is most present. Once you've done that in the morning, you can do that in any way you choose. It can be a breathing exercise. It can be an affirmation exercise in the mirror, and you can use it in that way. It can be as a meditative ritual. It's really up to you how you choose to do that. But the goal is at the end of whatever your ritual, even a small, short ritual, at the end of it, is to identify the mood and the aspect that you think are present. And when you've done that, you want to take the trends from the previous week and try to attempt to dress in a way that you feel will support that aspect and that mood. And as you go throughout the second week, you're going to do the same thing at the end of the day, where you evaluate how that outfit made you feel in that mood and that aspect. You're also going to want to evaluate at the end of the day if the mood and the aspect that you felt you were most in line with at the beginning of the day is what you actually felt at the end of the day. At the end of all of that, we've got our 2 weeks of mood journaling. You're going to sit down with those things and you're going to find the commonalities between aspects, moods, and the clothing choices for each. So, what are the 3 aspects of yours? And as you look over the 2 weeks, which moods were most present with those aspects? Now, for some people, 2 weeks may not be enough time to do this. You may need to take an extended period of time past those 2 weeks, and that's okay. If you feel like you haven't been able to capture trends in 2 weeks, you can certainly move it into 3, even 4 weeks. You can take it as long as you want to get to the point where you feel like you've got good trending on the moods, the aspects, and the clothing pieces. So whatever length of time you choose, at the end of it, you're going to take all of those consolidated notes and you're going to write down the trends. For each aspect, you're going to correlate all of the moods that are most common with those aspects. And from there, you're going to identify the colors, the fabrics, the prints, the silhouettes, fits, and accessories that you felt most connected to in those moods and those aspects. And once you have that, you have this big, beautiful table and this big, beautiful set of notes that should help you correlate the things that help you feel most supported in each aspect. And from there, what we're going to do is we're going to take all of those pieces that you have developed and identified, and we're going to put them into a table of our core and auxiliary expressions. Now, when we talk about your core and auxiliary expressions, for me personally, my sovereign self tends to be the pillar of my core expressions. There are, however, certain expressions that come from shadow self and come from inner child that I feel connected to in most moods and on most days. So when we're developing our core expressions are going to be the fabrics, the colors, the prints, the fits, the accessories that we feel supported by in all moods and all aspects. Now, you may not have a ton of these, but you're going to want to identify those, right? If you have things that you feel good in all the time across all moods, that should form the foundation of your personal style. So your core expressions can come from all aspects. Typically, they're going to come from your sovereign self, but you want those to be the colors and the fabrics, etc., that you feel good in all the time. That way, you are setting a foundation of your personal style that is always resonant and always helping you regulate. From there, you're going to look at the auxiliary expressions. Are there things that are very, very present in certain moods and aspects that you really feel like you need to help you feel supported? Those can be your auxiliary expressions that you bring in on days where you're in those moods or those aspects are more present. So say in your sovereign self and your core expressions, you feel best overall in medium chroma, medium value colors, and you don't like anything too bright, you don't really like anything way too dark or way too light or way too muted, you just like everything a little bit medium. But your inner child loves bright colors. So on days where your inner child is more present, you may shift into a little bit of a brighter expression on those days that you don't normally feel good in on a shadow self day or on a sovereign self present day. And those are going to be the things that you're going to want to identify and really play with in your auxiliary expressions. They're not going to be things that you're going to want to wear all the time, but they're going to be things that make you feel really good on certain days. For me, that's going to be really bright colors and flamboyant prints are things that I will incorporate on my inner child days. And on my shadow self days, those are the days that I'm going to be really quiet and demure in my clothing. And I'm typically going to dress in darker value colors on those days because that's what helps me feel supported. I'm typically going to cut a more powerful silhouette on a shadow self day. I'm going to have a very, very strong vertical on a shadow self day. Whereas on an inner child day, I might play with a little more color blocking or a little more print mixing. And those are things that I'm not supported by in all moods. So it really takes playing and seeing how you're feeling through that mood journaling in different things to identify those core expressions and those auxiliary expressions. And it's super important when you're doing the mood journaling to not stick with the same outfit every day. This is your opportunity to really play and explore and identify how you feel in different things. And it's really important that you don't feel like failing is not an option, okay? Because trial and error and play is really important in evolving your personal style. So don't wake up in the morning and feel afraid of having a fashion mishap, because if you do, that's totally okay. Because at the end of the day, the goal here is to find what works for you and what doesn't, and what feels good to you and what doesn't. And any fashion mishaps along the way just help you get to that end goal. So again, 1 week of mood journaling based off of how you already dress, second week of mood journaling based on a ritual of getting dressed, and then evaluation at the end of the day. If you need to extend that time frame to get better trends, that's fine too. But at the end of your mood journaling exercise, you're going to take a look at your trends, make sure you map out your aspects, the most present moods in each aspect, and all of the tactile expressions in your clothing that feel best in each of those moods and aspects. Once you've done that mapping and you've got all of that written out, that's where you're going to find the commonalities across all three to develop your core expressions. And then you're going to find those specific individual auxiliary expressions that make you feel supported only in certain moods. And from there, we're going to take all of that information and we're going to play with it, and we're going to turn it into our personal style soul map. So I hope you join me for the next video in part 4, when we explore how to take all of this inner work that we've done and start to play with it and put it into personal style expression on the outside. Thanks for watching, guys.